As a nurse, I've sat with families dealing with Parkinson's disease. It's a brutal condition. Watching someone lose control of their own body slowly, progressively, irreversibly is one of the harder things you witness in healthcare. Most people assume it's genetic, unpredictable, outside your control. Two studies published in 2025 complicate that assumption in a way I find difficult to ignore. The first followed 42,853 people for up to 26 years. Those eating the most ultra-processed foods were 2.5 times more likely to show early signs of Parkinson's disease. The second, published months later, found that the highest UPF consumers had a 3.11 times higher risk of dying from it. Large studies, long follow-ups, respected journals. But here's what makes these findings truly unsettling. The Parkinson story, according to a growing body of evidence, may not begin in the brain at all. In 2003, a German neuropathologist named Heiko Braak proposed something his colleagues largely dismissed. Looking at post-mortem brain tissue, Braak noticed something odd. The pathological damage in Parkinson's patients didn't appear to start where everyone expected, in the brain. It seemed to start further down, in the gut. His hypothesis, a misfolded protein called alpha-synuclein, the hallmark of Parkinson's pathology, originates in the enteric nervous system, the network of neurons lining your gastrointestinal tract. From there, it travels up the vagus nerve, the highway connecting gut to brain, spreading slowly through the brainstem over years or decades until it reaches the substantia nigra and triggers the motor symptoms we recognize as Parkinson's disease. The medical establishment largely dismissed this for years. 20 years later, the evidence has started catching up with him. Some studies have found that people who underwent a specific type of vagus nerve surgery, truncal vagotomy, showed a suggestive, though not conclusively proven, lower rate of Parkinson's disease. Alpha-synuclein deposits have been found in gut tissue years before any motor symptoms appear. Gastrointestinal problems, constipation, impaired gut motility are now recognized as some of the earliest warning signs, which brings us back to the question the 2025 research is now asking. If Parkinson's begins in the gut, what role does the food we eat play in that process? Before we get to the findings, there's one concept worth understanding: prodromal Parkinson's disease. Prodromal means pre-symptomatic. The neurodegeneration that eventually causes tremors begins years, sometimes decades, before any movement problems appear. During this window, a specific cluster of subtle symptoms tends to emerge. Acting out dreams physically during sleep, a reduced sense of smell, constipation, unexplained depressive symptoms, body pain, impaired color vision, excessive daytime sleepiness. Each one easy to dismiss. Together, they form the neurological fingerprint of a disease that hasn't arrived yet. The shadow Parkinson's casts before it arrives. This is what the 2025 Neurology study was measuring. Not the disease itself, but its early warning signs. The first study drew on 42,853 participants from two prestigious long-term cohort databases, followed for up to 26 years, diet assessed by detailed food questionnaires repeated every 2 to 4 years. Researchers divided participants into 5 groups based on UPF intake, from those eating fewer than 3 servings a day to those eating 11 or more. And to be clear about what a serving means here, a single portion of breakfast cereal, a flavored yogurt, a packet of crackers, 11 servings a day is closer to a typical Western diet than most people would like to admit. The highest UPF consumers were 2.5 times more likely to show 3 or more prodromal Parkinson's features. Nearly every symptom in the cluster showed a significant association, except constipation. That absence is worth a note. Constipation is one of the most consistently documented prodromal features of Parkinson's in other research. Its absence here may reflect how it was measured. The questionnaire captured laxative use rather than stool frequency or consistency, which likely missed a meaningful proportion of cases. It's a methodological limitation, not necessarily a true null effect. Then the second study, same cohort, harder outcomes, found a 32% higher risk of developing Parkinson's disease itself and a 3.11 times higher risk of dying from it. 3 times higher mortality from dietary pattern over 26 years. I want you to sit with that because in any other disease context, that number would be front page news. These studies show association, not causation. That distinction matters and I won't let you forget it. But the association is biologically plausible. Ultra-processed foods are among the most potent disruptors of gut microbiome diversity known. They damage the gut epithelial barrier. They reduce beneficial bacteria. They drive chronic low-grade intestinal inflammation. Now connect that to BRAC. If alpha-synuclein misfolding originates in the enteric nervous system and chronic gut inflammation is a known trigger for that misfolding, then a dietary pattern that systematically damages the gut over decades is a plausible upstream driver of the very process that eventually manifests as Parkinson's disease. The gut may not be a bystander in this story. It may be where the story begins. These are observational studies. Association is not causation. The participant populations, nurses, and health professionals are not representative of everyone. Food frequency questionnaires are imperfect instruments, and several prodromal features were self-reported. None of this invalidates the findings. 2 large, long-term studies pointing in the same direction with a coherent biological mechanism underneath them is meaningful evidence. But it is not proof, and I think it matters that you hear that from someone who actually read the studies. Moi. The prodromal features are worth knowing. Reduced smell, REM sleep behavior disorder, unexplained depressive symptoms, and body pain, particularly in combination, particularly in middle age, warrants a conversation with a neurologist. Not because it means Parkinson's is inevitable, but because the window for intervention in the prodromal phase is real, and it closes once motor symptoms appear. The Parkinson's story may not begin with a tremor. According to this research, it may begin much earlier and much further down than anyone thought. If you found this useful, subscribe. I cover research like this regularly, breaking down what the actual studies say rather than what the headlines want you to believe. I'll see you in the next one.